What's up, y'all? Happy holidays. We are in the thick of winter, and baseball feels like it's very far away, considering we are in this lockout, and we don't know when the season is going to start. Hopefully, it starts on time. We just had the 2020 season be shortened and start late because of COVID, and now this season looks like it's also in jeopardy. Regardless, we're going to look at 10 things I'm excited for this season, and when the season eventually gets underway, watch out for these 10 things. The first thing is pitchers coming back from injury. There are a few notable ones, such as Steven Strasburg, who missed practically all of last year, Noah Syndergaard, who did miss all of last year except for 2 starts, Justin Verlander, who missed all of last year and all of 2020, and then Luis Severino, who came back for a little bit. All these guys had Tommy John surgery, except for Strasburg, who just had a normal surgery. And you're not quite the same pitcher after Tommy John surgery. I guess you could throw Chris Sale in this list as well, but we saw him a bit in the playoffs. Chris Sale looked good after Tommy John, but it's going to be tough for guys like Syndergaard and Severino and Verlander, who are, Verlander's a lot older, but he's shown that he is an elite pitcher, and he never really seems to age. So we'll see how it goes. Hopefully, I'm hoping Syndergaard is great for the Angels because I want to see the Angels make the playoffs. They really need pitching. I mainly want to see the Angels in the playoffs because of Mike Trout. Mike Trout is one of the greatest players of all time. He's only played in 3 career playoff games. They got swept by the Royals. The next thing I want to look forward to is Marcus Semien and Corey Seager on the Texas Rangers. The Texas Rangers dished out $500 million to their new middle infield, and it's probably one of the best middle infields in baseball, if not the best. If Correa re-signs with the Astros, I think him and Altuve are really good. I'm sure there's a lot of other good middle infielders. You can put that in the comments. But Semien is a guy who had an amazing 2019. He finished 3rd in MVP voting. 2020, he played like 50-ish games. Wasn't great. 2021, he also finished 3rd in MVP voting. So he's legit. He is a little old. I think he's like 32, and they gave him like a 7-year deal. So it's risky, but for these next couple of years, it's a really good building block, and it's given the Rangers some an actual identity. Before, they were just kind of like a bad team, and now they have something to work on. And then Corey Seager, we saw how great he was in 2020 in the 2020 playoffs, specifically winning the NLCS MVP and World Series MVP. He had a great 2021. He's one of the best shortstops in the league, definitely, and that's going to be exciting to see them put on Rangers colors. The next thing I'm really looking forward to is all these prospects. I'm a big guy when it comes to the prospects, and we're going to see a lot of great debuts this year. The number 1 prospect in baseball, Adley Rutschman, is going to play this year. The number 2 prospect in baseball, Julio Rodriguez, should play this year. He might not start the year in the majors. The number 3 prospect in baseball, Bobby Witt Jr., should play this year, as well as guys like Spencer Torkelson, who was the 1st overall pick a couple years, C.J. Abrams, Riley Green, Grayson Rodriguez. All these guys should make their debuts, and those will be the games that you turn on the TV and you watch their first couple innings or you watch their first couple at-bats, and it's always exciting. I think there's a lot of teams that are going to break out this year, and this is why this comes in at number 4. Teams like the Blue Jays, the White Sox, the Angels, the Mariners, the Mets, the Padres, I think are all teams that really can break out this year. All these teams, except for the White Sox, missed the playoffs last year, and then they all got a lot better. They have younger players who are getting stronger, getting more experience, and I expect a lot of these teams to make the playoffs. The Blue Jays signed Kevin Gausman. They did lose Robbie Ray and Marcus Semien, to be honest, but I think another year of Vladimir Guerrero Jr., another year of Bo Bichette's experience in the major leagues is more valuable than that almost. The White Sox, if they get a full season out of Luis Robert, he's going to be an elite MVP candidate. And they also have younger players like Yohan Moncada. Pitching on the pitching side, Dylan Cease had a really good breakout season. They're going to be good next year. They might be my World Series pick. I'm going to do that video soon, though. The Mariners. The Mariners are a team that was the surprise team last year. They finished 2 games out of the playoffs. They added Robbie Ray. They added Adam Frazier. Adam Frazier was an all-star last year. Robbie Ray wasn't, even though Robbie Ray won Cy Young, which is kind of crazy. Really happy for the Mariners. They haven't made the playoffs in like 20 years. It's the longest drought in North American pro sports. So I think this might be the year. The Angels, like I said, they added pitching. Noah Syndergaard, Michael Lorenzen. They re-signed Raisel Iglesias. There's still a couple of pitchers on the market I'd like them to go get. If they get a full season out of Trout, Rendon, and then Shohei Ohtani. Shohei Ohtani and Trout, those are like 2 top 3 players in the league on their team. They should make the playoffs, please. And then the Mets added Starling Marte. They added Eduardo Escobar. They added Mark Canha. Those are 3 very underrated players. Then the big move, Max Scherzer. Max Scherzer, we'll talk about him later on this list. The Padres. The Padres were a team that disappointed last year because they had a lot of great starting pitching. It just didn't work out. Blake Snell was a below-average pitcher. Yu Darvish was a below-average pitcher. Chris Paddock was a below average pitcher. But they're going to get Mike Clevenger. I realized I can just throw Mike Clevenger back in that first list there. Joe Musgrove broke out. I think them and their exciting left side of the infield, Tatis and Machado, are going to make them really be a breakout team and another World Series contender. At number 6, this is going to be Yad Molina's last season. The legendary Cardinals catcher is calling it a career. And I think what would make this more interesting is if Albert Pujols, who's currently a free agent, this is probably Pujols' last year. I'm not sure if a team's going to give him another contract. I think it'd be cool if Pujols went back to the Cardinals and him and Molina had like a retirement year, kind of like when David Ortiz or Derek Jeter had that a couple years ago. It'd be cool if Pujols came back to the Cardinals. Remember last year the Dodgers played the Cardinals and Pujols hit a home run there. I think it'd just be a cool story. At 7, baseball always has a scandal. In 2019, it was the cheating scandal came out. 2020, the cheating scandal came out. In 2019, it was about the juiced baseballs with all the home run numbers. Last year is about all the sticky stuff, and they broke the record for no hitters thrown in a year. What will next year's scandal be? I guess I'm not looking forward to this. I guess this year isn't really a scandal, but it's kind of just about the whole. We're having a lockout. A lockout hasn't happened since 1994. So baseball's got a lot of work to do if there's been like a scandal for like 4 straight years, or just at least disagreements. Next one I'm looking forward to is a couple of divisions, the NL West and the AL East. In the AL East, you have 4 teams who are all playoff teams. Tampa Bay Rays, they went to the ALDS last year. They always are just in it, and Wander Franco is going to be an MVP candidate next year. The Yankees were always in it. We're still waiting for the Yankees to make that big move. Is it Carlos Correa? Is it Freddie Freeman? Is it re-signing Anthony Rizzo, who's a pretty good first baseman? You got Boston Red Sox, who were in the ALCS last year, and you got the Blue Jays, who I talked about, who should be a playoff team. They missed it by 1 game last year. Who's going to come out of that division? You can have 1 division winner, and then there's 2 wildcard spots. So one of those 4 teams is not making the playoffs, and they're also going to be competing. Whoever wins that division, the other 2 teams competing for the wild card will be competing with teams from the AL West, like the Mariners and Angels and Astros, who I've mentioned. Yeah, that's gonna be kind of crazy. And then the NL West has 3 teams: the Dodgers, the Padres, the Giants. The Giants lost Kevin Gausman, but still, if they had the same magic from last year, they won that division. They had 107 wins. We know how good the Dodgers are. Even if the Dodgers lost Max Scherzer and Corey Seager, that really doesn't faze them that much. They still have Trey Turner. They still have Mookie Betts. Clayton Kershaw is a free agent. Walker Buehler, Cody Bellinger should have a bounce-back season. They'll be good. And then the Padres, we already mentioned in this video, they should be very good. They should be a playoff team. So those 2 divisions are going to be very exciting. Now, I said we were going to talk about Max Scherzer. And at number 8, we're going to talk about Max Scherzer's contract. Max Scherzer got $43 million a year for 3 years. I'm not going to do that math and add it up in my head. It's about like 129, I think, over 3 years. I said I wasn't going to do the math, and then I did the math. Whatever. He's 37 years old, and he couldn't pitch in last year's playoffs and last year's NLCS because he had arm fatigue. He said he had a dead arm. Max Scherzer's never said that before. The Mets are known kind of historically as a dysfunctional franchise, and they gave a 37-year-old with a dead arm $43 million a year. It is Max Scherzer. He almost won the Cy Young last year, so you do believe in that. But I gotta say, when he's 40 years old, I'm not sure if that contract's really gonna be good. It should be fine next year. The next 2 years after that, I don't know about that. And the last thing I'm looking forward to, well, it's not the last thing I'm looking forward to, because I'm just looking forward to baseball coming back. The last thing on this list is who will be the surprise teams. The Mariners were the surprise team last year, where they were a team that was in the cellar, they were at the basement, and then they came within 2 games of making the playoffs. I got a couple candidates. Oakland is a team that's always around the playoffs, and they sold off. Well, they didn't sell off. They lost Starling Marte, and it's the Oakland way to always just, whenever they get star players, trade them, rebuild, and try and do it the Moneyball way. What if they don't sell off their players, though? If you keep Matt Chapman, you keep Matt Olson, both those guys are in immense trade rumors right now. If you keep Sean Manaea, Chris Bassett, Frankie Montas, that's still a good enough team to maybe get in the playoffs, and I think... I don't know, maybe people will be surprised, but also maybe not if they don't sell, and then 3 months into the season, they're winning that AL West. Maybe the Astros lost Correa. The Oakland A's always just find a way to win games, so if they don't sell, I think Oakland could be a surprise team. Another surprising team is Detroit. They went out and they got Eduardo Rodriguez. They finally got a really good pitcher, an ace of that staff. They got Javier Baez, who, in my website, you can check out the article. I'll link it down. I'll link it down below in the description there. Javier Baez is still a really good player. Maybe he swings at everything, but still, regardless, he's like an 800, 850 OPS and a good season guy. And he's a solid player, and Detroit definitely has prospects. If Torkelson comes up and he's this hitter that everyone says he is, which I believe that, and he's great. What about Riley Green? We mentioned him before. We mentioned both those guys before. Casey Mize is a really good pitching prospect who started to figure it out last year. Tariq Skubal, Matt Manning. This team is a really solid team that has been in the absolute basement since the days where Max Scherzer was on the Tigers in like 2014, 2012, those years. So yeah, I hope Detroit is good this year. Miami's a team that really could be a surprise team. They have one of the best rotations in baseball, and no one talks about it. Sandy Alcantara, he's like a 2 ERA guy. Trevor Rogers is solid. He's a rookie. I think he won Rookie of the Year last year. Pablo Lopez, Eliezer Hernandez, Zach Thompson. This is a solid rotation that no one really speaks about, and they're young. They're all like under 25. So watch out for Miami. There's not much there on offense. Hopefully Jazz Chisholm breaks out. I can see Jazz Chisholm being an all-star next year. Then the Cubs. The Cubs I really don't believe in unless they get Carlos Correa. Correa's that's kind of been the rumor. Regardless, if they don't have Carlos Correa, well, let's say they do have Carlos Correa in the situation. You sign Marcus Stroman, you sign Carlos Correa. That's a really good offseason. And then maybe Ian Happ, who was figuring out down the stretch. He goes back to that 2020 Ian Happ. Frank Schwindel broke out the end of last year. Patrick Wisdom, does he continue that? I think the Cubs could be pretty solid. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. I really can't wait until next season. I'm really looking forward to baseball. Sports, there's 3 sports going on right now. Hockey, basketball, football. All my teams, I'm a Seahawks fan, Raptors fan, Montreal Canadiens fan. All my teams suck right now. So I'm really looking forward to baseball. Hope you guys enjoyed. I'm out. Peace.